Now that the decade-long trade period is over, at least that's what it felt like anyway, we can now go through each team, what came in, what came out, and give my thoughts accordingly. Now, there's one thing that I want to keep in mind before the video properly starts, and that is that the tiers are not in order. The tiers are alphabetical. So if your club did an elite job and so did another team, they're not ranked left to right. Everyone there's equal because they equally did elite things with what came in and what came out. Keep that in mind. Okay? Fantastic. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Mock draft will be coming next week. Enjoy. Rolling with 4 categories for today's video, guys, because if you didn't watch my last tier list video, you may not know, but I believe that having a 5-tier system means that you can just throw anything that you're not sure about into the middle and just go, done. I don't like doing that, so I'm rolling with 4. We've got elite, we've got good, we've got meh, and we've got ill, which is just basically judging what came in, what left your football club after the trade period pre-draft. That simple. Let's do this. Let's start with the Crows, who brought in James Peatling, Isaac Cumming, and Alex Neil-Bullen, along with 2/3 and a 4th round pick next year, and lost Elliot Himmelberg, pick 28, pick 46, and their 2025 second. I think Adelaide made good moves here. I don't think I can put them into the elite category for the simple reason of I just don't think the 3 inclusions turn them into a contending side. Now, I think they did as much as they could to bring in quality. Absolutely they did, and they couldn't have done it much better. I just don't think at this point I can put them into that elite bracket. Just keep in mind as well that these are not ordered. So the tiers, they're all equal, because I'm sick and tired of the comment section of people going, how could you put this club over this club, and they didn't watch till the end. So they're all equal. They're all tiered equally. Leave it at that. Adelaide keeping pick 4, though, was huge. So credit to them for that. I can totally understand if you want to put them in the elite category for what they did. Keeping pick 4 is pretty great, though. So maybe they're at the back end of elite. You know what? Let's start optimistically, I reckon, and go from there. Brisbane brought in pick 27, 34, 42, 43, 49, 66, and a 3rd round pick next year. Lost Harry Sharp, pick 20, pick 32, pick 45, pick 73, a 2nd and a 3rd next year. And very simply, for Brisbane, they did a good job. They did what they needed to do. Now, dependent on where the Ashcroft and Marshall bids lie, they could still be in a deficit. They still could. Unlikely, though, but if Ashcroft is bid on at pick 2, which I believe he should be, I believe he should be picked at 1, but it's highly likely that he is going to be bid on at pick 2. So they would want Sam Marshall to be outside the 25. That looks unlikely, but we'll see how they go. But they did a good job at what they needed to do. So credit to the Lions. Carlton brought in Nick Haynes, pick 3, 38, 63, 68, and a 2nd round pick from Brisbane. Lost Matt Kennedy to the Bulldogs. East to West Coast, pick 12, 14, 73, their 1st and 2nd next year. Now, considering that they've given up 3 first round picks effectively and a 2nd, 4 pick 3 and a 2nd round pick. That's a lot to give up. However, I love the fact that they're going to take a swing. They're still going to have enough to match bids on Ben and Lucas Camporeale. I think this is pretty elite work from Carlton. Top 8 side, did what they needed to do in order to get a top talent in this draft. I love the approach. I really do. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. Carlton did an awesome thing. They fleeced the Eagles in the end, which was great. They did very nice work here. I like it. And the deal with Hawthorn, they would just want to hope that they're good next year. But every club wants to be good next year. So we'll see how they go. Collingwood brought in Dan Houston, Harry Perryman, and pick 58. Lost Joe Richards, John Noble, pick 36, and their 1st round pick next year. This is just simply elite work from the Pies. They did an extraordinary job here to bring Houston in for effectively not much, if you think about it that way. I like Joe Richards, and I think he'll be a good contributor at Port, but considering the initial talk was 2 first-round picks and Collingwood were able to get it across the line for a future first, which they do not need because of the Tom McGuan bid stuff, they'll be able to find what they need another way. So, perfectly fine with that. So, Joe Richards and pick 36 for Dan Houston. Yeah, That's amazing. Really good. The Bombers have got pick 28, pick 40, pick 46, pick 54, pick 65, and a future first round pick. They lost Jake Stringer, pick 9, and a 2025 third. Now, the obvious way that Essendon went about this trade period was they do not believe they're able to get 2 first round picks, with one of them being Isaac Keiko. So they went, we need to get out of pick 9. I can understand them doing that and getting the points in first round pick next year. They didn't let go of Sarnas or Hobbs, which I thought was interesting. Will Setterfield's got himself another contract, so they're going to maintain that midfield depth. It tells me that with the Keiko bid, they are not drafting a midfielder, and nor should they, which is really good. Got a couple of smokies I think would really fit the Bombers nicely. Hello, Bailey McKenzie, if you're listening, in that regard. So I think the Bombers did a good job here. I don't want to say meh, because I feel like getting that first round pick from Melbourne does equate this to a good offseason. They made moves that Adrian Dodoro just would not have done. So Matt Rosa, I think he's off to a good start. It's going to look silly if the Keiko bid doesn't come in before that top 10 spot, but that's a problem for later. This is what we know now. Fremantle brought in Shea Bolton, pick 14 and a third round pick from Richmond, gave up pick 10, 11, 18. I cannot swing this any other way that this is elite work. Freo have identified a need for forward half production and went and got it. They gave up next to nothing to Port Adelaide for that first round pick. Like, that didn't bite them in any way. Lockie Schultz to the Pies. The way they've been able to flip this has been extraordinary. They still get to keep a pick in the teens. Now, I don't think they're going to draft Bo Allen. They may not. I'll see how the mock draft goes. But they're able to take best talent available. They have got a guy who I think is going to be All-Australian next year with the amount of production that he's going to be able to have for Freo is extraordinary. The future third round pick, we'll see what they do with that. It may not be a big deal. It may, who knows, because it's likely to be a pick in the top 40. So that's reasonably great. They did elite work. They needed Shea. They got Shea. I think they got a good deal out of this. Hats off to Freo, I should say. Really good work this. I love this move. Geelong picked up Bailey Smith, pick 45, and only lost pick 17 and pick 38. That trade on its own is elite. However, my worry with the Cats is, they did make a prelim, of course, against Brisbane. Bailey Smith adding to that mix is fantastic. Their drafting's going to be really interesting. They've got still a couple of list holes that I'm a bit worried about. But as far as the Bulldogs saying, we want something equivalent to pick 10, and sure, 17 and 38's points could equal that. The fact that the Cats didn't have to do any other finagling. I love what Bailey Smith is going to be able to bring. So the Cats did a really good job here. I'm not sure if I could put them in the elite category. I still think Bolton is a better... That's interesting. My instincts say here, that's not worse than the Bombers. They're all equal. All right, let's see here. Let's see. That doesn't look too bad. We'll see how that goes. That's a very generous star, but we're grading on a curve here apparently. But I like it. I like what Geelong did. Bailey Smith fits an absolute need down there. Love it. Gold Coast got Elliot Himmelberg, John Noble, Daniel Rioli, pick 39, 51, 61, 70, 76, and 2 first-round picks next year. Lost Jack Lukosius, Rory Atkins, pick 6, 13, 23, 29, 50. They're going to get the points for Leo Lombard. Daniel Rioli is a gun, so we love that in a massive way. Elliot Himmelberg is going to be depth. John Noble is fine. I don't think he's the best ball user, but I think this talk of a Gold Coast dynasty and all these things, look, trade radio, I don't think can be taken massively seriously for the content that they had to deliver. Again, it's not their fault trade period goes for 14 and a half years, is what it felt like. I am going to put Gold Coast in the good category here. I am going to order them at the end. I don't know how many times I can say this, but they're all equal until we shuffle, all right? Because I don't want this video to go for too long. But they did what they had to do. I don't like that they gave up 6, 13, 23. I know you need points for Lombard, I understand that, but that's still a steep asking price. But we went into this trade period. They wanted Dan Rioli. We knew that. They wanted John Noble. They wanted the points for Lombard. They did that. They did a good job. I don't love it, but they did what they had to do. GWS get Jake Stringer, pick 16 and 21 because of free agency compensation, and a second-round pick from the Crows. They lost Harry Perryman, Nick Haynes, Isaac Cumming, James Peatling, pick 53, and their third and fourth-round picks next year. In all honesty, if it wasn't for free agency, they would be an ill, but meh. their 3 or 4 best 22 players that they've lost. Pick 53 is not a big deal for Stringer. That's a decent deal there. 3rd, 4th next year, they gain the 2nd. That's all well and good. But the Giants, yeah, this offseason's not shaping up to be great for many a reason. So the epitome of meh, and the vibe is ill right now around the Giants. The Hawks get Josh Battle, Tom Barras, a 1st and 2nd round pick from Carlton, the 4th round pick from West Coast, and all they gave up was their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks next year. Holy shit, this is a good offseason for the Hawks. Battle and Barras were identified pretty early on in the season as trade targets for the Hawks. They are going to help their backline beautifully when Jai Sarong has to play an extended role in a semi-final. You just know you have to shore that up, which is what Tom Barras is going to do. He just is. And Hawthorn fans now, if you think we've sold the farm, you're wrong. Hawthorn turned pick 14 into a 1st and 2nd round pick. So if Hawthorn and Carlton are relatively the same spot on the ladder, if you compare to where Hawthorn were at the start of the trade period to where they are now, they gave up pick 14 for Tom Barras. And that's it. Because the Hawthorn's 3rd round pick and West Coast's 4th are hopefully going to be very close to each other. So, win-win. Yes, we're relying on Carlton to tell us how good our draft haul is going to be next year. But if the Hawks are going to be the contender that we think they are going to be, or Hawthorn fans are hoping they are going to be, we're not in the realm of draft picks here. And Hawthorn can use Carlton's assets to get back into this draft if they love someone. So, elite. Really elite. Love it all. Very happy chap over here. And the fact the Hawks didn't pay 2 first-round draft picks, which I was adamant that they would have to do. Never been happier being wrong. The D's got Harry Sharp, Tom Campbell, pick 9 and a 3rd round pick from Brisbane. Lost Alex Neil-Bullen, picks 28, 46, 49, 54, 65. Their 1st next year. A 3rd that was tied to the Bombers and a 25 3rd, which is their own. Harry Sharp is a free swing, so I don't mind that. Tom Campbell is back up to max scorn because clearly they don't have faith in Tom Fullerton. Getting pick 9 in, so their draft picks are only pick 5, pick 9, or they don't have a 1st next year either. So pick 9 effectively for your 1st, if you think about it that way. I mean, it's good. I definitely don't want to put it in the elite tier. Getting 2 high-quality kids to add to your list, I think, is a good thing. So we'll put Melbourne in good, I think. Really undecided on this. Look, the picks in the 40s aren't going to matter that much. Just because it's a deep draft doesn't mean there's superstars everywhere. This isn't 2001 for crying out loud. So, you know what? It is a good thing that they've been able to do. They've been able to offload a bunch of picks, got up to pick 9. That's a good thing for the D's, where they think their list that just because it differs from mine, they shouldn't be punished for that. They're doing the best thing for their current plan. So it's a good thing from the D's, I hope. North Melbourne, Jack Darling, Caleb Daniel, Luke Parker, and Jacob Constantine for pick 25, 64, 44, I should say, and 67. North Melbourne, for me, is definitely going to go in the elite category, which this is insane. 7 clubs in elite. We will have to address this, I think, at the end. We will need to do a shuffle, which is fine. But pick 25 for Caleb Daniels overs. At what point do North go, we need to make our floor better instead of relying on kids? And if that's this year, more than fine with that. They'll be able to split pick 2. They're still going to get quality kids in the door. They've got a future first they can use in this draft. That is going to be awesome. So, that's okay. The Daniel deal is okay. And getting Parker and Constantine for pick 44 is great value, considering going into this, I thought it would just be Parker for 44 straight up. Constantine is a great pressure forward. That was his trademark in his draft year, so fresh opportunity. Hopefully Clarko will be able to get the best out of him, which would be fantastic. 67 for Darling's a free swing. I've already talked about how good that'll be, so North, big tick. Port Adelaide, Jack Lukosius, Joe Richards, Rory Atkins, picks 13, 29, 36, 50 come in. Dan Houston and their 1st round pick next year is not there. Pick 39 and 58 are also out. You know what? They've got Jack Lukosius, Daz, who you love. They've got pick 13 and 29 in a really good draft. Yeah, still, Rory Atkins should not play meaningful minutes for Port Adelaide. Joe Richards I like, but the Houston and your 1st round pick next year are gone for 2 picks in the top 30 that aren't single-digit picks. Ill. Now, if Jack Lukosius can become what I hope he can, great. But This isn't projection. This is for the here and the now. And what we know is Jack Lukosius is way too good for the VFL and cannot lock down a position in the AFL just yet. Now, if Port get Trevelyan or Joe Berry at pick 13, that's a tick. At pick 29, if they get best talent available, all well and good with that. They may be able to get something good with 36. They may be able to get a decent pick at 50. Maybe an Archer Day Wicks or someone like that. But on paper, ill. I do not like that Dan Houston and a future first is out the door with nothing that makes you go, whoa, coming in. So, yeah, ill. Richmond have got pick 6, 10, 11, 18, 20, and 23 for Daniel Rioli, Liam Baker, Shea Bolton, Jack Graham, pick 14, 42, and their 2025 third round pick. Richmond did as good of a job as they could. The elite thing's going to be really interesting because the Shea Bolton deal is a win. The Liam Baker deal for them was a really big win. The Jack Graham compensation, that is what it is. It's fine. And who's the other player I'm forgetting about here? Rioli, Baker, or Bolton is a good deal as well. Like, it's elite what they've been able to do. It's not elite that they lost all their players. But you're telling me that 4 best 22 players and a first round pick gets you 6 first round picks? We'll take it. Am I nuts for not wanting to put them in the elite section? I don't think. No, okay. It's not elite that all the players wanted to leave, but I think the return is. Let's not overthink this. 8 clubs in the elite does not sit right with me, but we'll do the shuffle in just a tick. But Richmond did the best of a bad situation, and they will be able to launch, hopefully spread their picks. I do not think they should be using 8 picks in this draft. I really don't. They're all going to get out of contract at the same time. They are all going to hit free agency at the same time. Spread them out over 3 drafts. So 8 first round picks. Could you take 5? On trade 3 of them for 25 assets. You've still got all of your 25 assets as well. So if you've got a first round pick plus, let's say, another 2, which would be 3, and 2 second round picks, let's just say that. So you've got 5 assets there. On trade a couple of those into the 26 draft. And then by the time Tassie comes in, you've been able to grab for yourself a decent run of players. Just because this is a deep draft does not mean they're going to hit on every pick. Rant over. St Kilda got Jack Macrae, pick 8 for the Josh Battle compensation and pick 32, losing Josh Battle, pick 27 and pick 45. This was a really good off-season for the Saints. I really like what they did. I forgot that I was doing this in alphabetical order, to be perfectly honest with you. Jack Macrae for the 45, that's perfectly fine. No stress there in the slightest. The 27, which they ended up with 32 and the 45. So you could honestly say that pick 27 departed for pick 32 and Jack Macrae. That's pretty damn handy, to be honest. But yeah, the Saints did a really good job here. Macrae will hopefully fit a need, but considering that St Kilda did have some list cloggers at around that 28 and over mark, adding another one in, is it the best choice? Who knows? Hopefully Macrae will play midfield time and help their other midfielders get to their best spot. The best thing that happened to St Kilda this offseason was pick 8 for Josh Battle, but hey, whinging gets you places, which, love that for St Kilda. No qualm with them at all. Sydney lost Luke Parker and Jacob Constantine and picked up pick 44. Now, this is going to be controversial. I'm putting Sydney in the ill category. Here is why. Because at the time of recording, that is important, Sydney lost the grand final and did basically nothing in the trade period, which is what they did in 22. They did nothing. And in 23, they took a step back. It could happen this year as well. I don't know what else they could have done, so that could be part of this. But history has now repeated itself. I do not like it. It's an ill from me. Call it controversial. I don't mind. The Eagles, are you sitting down for this? Liam Baker, Matt Owies, and Jack Graham come in. So do picks 12 and 73. They also get Hawthorn's first 3 round picks next year. They lost Tom Barras, Jack Darling, pick 3, pick 68, and their 4th round pick next year. This is really interesting because trading pick 3 is ill. I don't care. Trading pick 3 is ill. They should have, again, perfect world, if Tom Barras was on the table for pick 14 in a second, you could have on-traded that 14 for Baker. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because that's what they did anyway. I also should have put pick 14 in the losses as well. Pick 3 and pick 14. Although the on-trading, we can debate that. That's fine. But In all honesty, look, the 3 players on field are going to, again, raise their floor, which is fine. They're going to get a quality kid at pick 12, but this is now 3 years in a row with top 3 draft picks, and they've only used one of them. Like, this better work. In all honesty, though, the Hawks first, second, and third, if the Hawks are as good as they are this year, and I know Zeke Euland, being an academy kid, is going to sway this a little bit, but they've effectively also brought in a pick 13, 31, and 49. If it stays the same this year, look, that looks okay-ish. I'm going to still go with Mare, though. I don't think it's... Trading pick 3 is pretty bad. 12, 14, those 3 players. I do like Liam, but I think at least 2 of those players can contribute next year. No, actually, pick 3 is awful for me. Awful. So, anyway. And we finished with the Bulldogs, who got Matt Kennedy, pick 17, pick 25. They lost Bailey Smith, Jack McRae, and Caleb Daniel. This is meh for me. I think they got unders for Bailey Smith, to be honest. They may have got overs for Caleb Daniel. Matt Kennedy is another Luke Beveridge-esque midfielder. He's just, again, he raises your floor. He does nothing for your ceiling. You've still got Riley Sanders in there in terms of youth, so it's fine, I suppose. So, yeah, that's where the Bulldogs sit. Now, just keep in mind, guys, that this is alphabetical, right? These are not in order. Do not comment that it is not in order. This will also be the pinned comment. They're not in order. They're just elite for what they did. They're just in alphabetical order because that's the order that I went in. Keep that in mind. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Give a loved one a hug. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe to the second channel, Daz Talks Horror. I am trying to recover the files that I'd already recorded in order to start that channel quicker. Fingers crossed. Ciao.